Hi, I'm Sarah. Today, I'm going to read you Luna's story. It's called, I drove 6 hours in a snowstorm with Christmas gifts to surprise my family. I walked in and heard my sister say, I hope she crashes. Then all her money would come to me. They laughed. I left. The next day, 80 missed calls. Let's begin. My name's Luna. I'm 35. I work as a programmer at a big tech company. I actually enjoy it. The pay's solid, the work keeps me thinking, and solving problems all day just suits me. 2 years ago, I paid off my apartment. That last mortgage payment felt unreal. I sat at my kitchen table, stared at the final statement, and felt this weight finally lift off my chest. Now my savings look pretty good. For the first time ever, I feel like I'm not just surviving, I'm stable. I live 2 states away from my family. My parents still live in the house I grew up in. My younger sister stays there too, mostly crashing between apartments. We don't talk often, once a month, maybe less. It's not about drama. We're just not close. My parents, though? Mom and Dad are very social. Every holiday turns into a circus of people, relatives, neighbors, even strangers they met in passing. I'm serious. Last Thanksgiving, I walked in and counted at least 30 people packed into their tiny living room. My sister, Emma, is just like them. She loves all the chaos and drama that comes with big family events. Me, not so much. I like quiet. I like small groups. I like being able to actually have a conversation without shouting over 3 other conversations happening at the same time. But here's the thing that really gets to me about these family gatherings. My aunts, especially Aunt Carol and Aunt Beth, always corner me every single time. So, Luna, do you have a boyfriend yet? Aunt Carol asked me at the last Christmas party, right in front of everyone. When are you going to settle down and give your parents some grandchildren? Aunt Beth chimed in. Then they'd start going on about their daughters. You know, my Sarah got married at 28 and now she has 2 beautiful babies. Or my Jennifer just bought a house with her husband. They're so happy. I just stand there, smiling, nodding, saying, that's nice, while inside I'm screaming. The worst part? My parents never say anything. They just let their sisters grill me about my personal life like I'm some kind of project that needs fixing. So, over the years, I found ways to avoid all that. When Christmas or birthdays come around, I just send gifts through a courier service. It's easier, no awkward conversations, no judgment, no having to explain why I'm still single or why I don't want kids or why I'm perfectly happy living alone. My parents have gotten used to it. Mom will call me with a list of what everyone wants. I order it online and boom, everyone's happy. Well, mostly happy. For video calls on holidays, I just log on for, 20 minutes, say hi to everyone, and then make some excuse about work or being tired. It works out fine. Emma lives in this tiny rental apartment about 10 minutes from my parents' house. She's 29 now, still trying to figure out what she wants to do with her life. She's had about 15 different jobs in the last 5 years: retail, waitressing, reception work, you name it. Nothing seems to stick. Dad works at the same manufacturing plant he's been at for 20 years. He's a supervisor now, which is cool, but the pay isn't amazing. Mom works part-time at a doctor's office, doing filing and scheduling. They get by, but money's always been tight for them. I guess that's why they don't mind the courier gifts. It helps them out, and I don't have to deal with the family circus. Everyone wins. Last year, I sent them a really nice gift package for Christmas. Mom got this expensive skincare set she'd been wanting. Dad got some fancy tools for his workshop. And Emma got this designer purse she'd been posting about on Instagram for months. They seemed happy with everything. The truth is, I don't mind spending money on them. They're my family, even if we don't have much in common. I make good money, way more than they do, so it feels right to help out when I can. But sometimes I wonder if they actually miss me or if they just miss the gifts. Would they even notice if I didn't call for Christmas? Would they care if I didn't send anything? But then another Christmas started approaching, and like clockwork, Mom called me. I could hear the TV in the background and Emma laughing about something. Hi, Luna, honey, Mom said. I'm calling about Christmas gifts. Here we go, I thought. Same routine as always. I've got a list ready, she continued. For me, I'd really love that expensive anti-aging cream set from Sephora, the one that's, like, $300. Your father wants that new power drill set from Home Depot, the professional one. And Emma saw this designer handbag at the mall. It's about $400. I was writing it all down, already calculating the total cost in my head. These were pretty expensive gifts, way more than what they usually asked for, but whatever. I could afford it. I'd been thinking about this for a while, actually. I really missed seeing my family in person, and I was tired of the same routine every year. Actually, Mom, I want to come home this Christmas. I want to celebrate with you all in person. There was this long silence on the other end. I could hear the TV getting louder. Oh, Mom finally said. She sounded really surprised, maybe even uncomfortable. Luna, you don't need to do that. I mean, you know how it gets here. There's going to be a lot of people. All the aunts and uncles will be here, and the Johnsons from next door, and probably some of Dad's work friends, too. I know, but I want to see everyone in person. It's been almost 2 years since I've been home for Christmas. Well, of course, we'd be happy to see you, she said, but her voice sounded kind of strained. It's just that, you always seem more comfortable with the courier thing. I'll come on December 24th, Christmas Eve, I said. Okay, well, that's great then, Mom said. But she sounded flustered. I should go start planning for more people then. I'll talk to you later, honey. And she hung up pretty quickly, which was weird for her. Usually, she wants to chat for at least 20 minutes about random stuff. Well, Christmas was only 3 weeks away, so I needed to get moving. I went online and ordered all the gifts Mom had asked for. That anti-aging cream set really was expensive, and Emma's handbag was even more than I thought it would be. But hey, it's Christmas. The next couple of weeks flew by. I was working extra hours to get my project done early, ordering last-minute things online, and honestly feeling pretty excited about going home. I kept imagining sitting around the Christmas tree with everyone, maybe actually having some real conversations instead of those quick video calls. I had everything planned out. I'd drive down on December 24th morning, get there in time for lunch, and surprise everyone with how much effort I'd put into their gifts this year. I even bought some extra stuff. Nice wine for Dad, fancy chocolates for Mom, and this cool scarf for Emma that I saw in a shop window. But then the weather decided to mess with my plans. About a week before Christmas, it started getting really cold, not just normal winter cold, but that bitter, nasty cold that makes your face hurt when you step outside. And then came the snow. At first, it was just flurries, nothing too crazy. But by December 20th, we were getting hit with this massive snowstorm. I'm talking about the kind of snow that just doesn't stop. I'd look out my apartment window and couldn't even see the building across the street. The news kept showing these horrible highway scenes, cars stuck in ditches, trucks jackknifed across multiple lanes, traffic backed up for miles. They were telling people to stay home unless it was absolutely necessary to go out. I started getting nervous. What if I couldn't make it home for Christmas? What if all those expensive gifts I bought just sat in my apartment while my family waited for me? Then, on December 22nd, my phone rang. Mom, Luna, honey, please tell me you already bought the gifts, she said right away. No, hello, no, how are you? Yes, Mom, I got everything on your list, I said. Oh, thank God, she said. But then her voice changed. But Luna, this weather is terrible. You're not seriously thinking about driving in this, are you? It would have been so much better if you just sent everything by courier like usual. Now we might not get anything for Christmas. I felt this knot form in my stomach. Mom, I said I'd be there. I'll figure out a way. Luna, be realistic. Look outside. There's no way you can drive 2 states in this weather. We're going to be left with nothing under the tree. Her voice sounded so frustrated, like I'd personally ruined Christmas by not sticking to our usual plan. I'll try to make it anyway, I said. Well, I hope you do, but I'm not counting on it, she said, and then hung up. I just sat there holding my phone, feeling guilty as hell. My family was going to have a crappy Christmas because I wanted to do something nice and visit them in person. Great job, Luna. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept checking the weather forecast on my phone every hour. Snow, snow, more snow. But then I noticed something. December 23rd was supposed to be a little better. Not great, but better than the other days. The snow was supposed to lighten up in the morning. I made a decision. I'd leave super early on the 23rd instead of waiting until the 24th. Better to get there a day early than to risk not making it at all or, worse, getting stuck somewhere and maybe having an accident. I didn't call to tell them I was changing my plans. I figured I'd surprise them, maybe show up with all the gifts and prove that I could actually follow through on something for once. So, at 4 a.m. on December 23rd, I loaded up my car with all the presents. The drive was absolutely brutal, 6 hours of white-knuckle driving through the worst weather I'd ever seen. The windshield wipers could barely keep up with the snow, and I had to drive, like, 30 miles per hour the whole way because I couldn't see more than a few feet ahead. The radio kept playing these warnings about accidents and road closures. Every few minutes, there'd be another traffic report about some pileup or another highway getting shut down. I kept thinking, maybe I should turn around, but I was already committed. I stopped for gas twice. Both times, the attendants looked at me like I was nuts for driving in this weather. But I kept going. After 6 hours of the most stressful driving I've ever done, I finally turned onto my parents' street. The snow was still falling, just not as heavy as before. I parked out front and looked around. Mom's car and Dad's truck were in the driveway, along with Emma's little Honda. No extra cars yet, so the big family crowd hadn't arrived. Perfect. I figured I'd surprise them, hand out the gifts, and maybe we'd get a little quiet family time before everyone else came. I grabbed a few gift bags and walked up to the door. I still had my old key on my ring, so I decided to let myself in. The key still worked. I opened the door slowly and stepped inside, setting the bags down quietly so they wouldn't make a sound. I could hear voices in the living room, Mom, Dad, and Emma all chatting. I smiled. This was going to be such a sweet surprise. I'd walk in, say surprise. I made it, and they'd be thrilled. I took a few quiet steps toward the living room, hoping to appear in the doorway and blow them away, in a good way. I was about 10 feet away when I clearly heard Mom's voice. Well, Luna might actually show up tomorrow with the gifts, she said. I stopped walking and smiled. They were talking about me. I was about to make their day. But then, Dad's voice cut through my happy thoughts like a knife. That girl is acting like a complete fool, deciding to drive all this way in a snowstorm just to bring us some presents. She should have just sent them by courier like always. What's wrong with her? I felt my stomach drop. What? Then Emma laughed, actually laughed. You know what I hope? I hope she crashes in this snowstorm and dies. Then all her money and that nice apartment would come to me since I'm her only sister. I couldn't breathe. I literally could not breathe. My own sister just said she hoped I would die, my baby sister, who I'd been buying gifts for, sending money to, caring about for years. I waited for Mom and Dad to say something, to tell Emma that was a horrible thing to say, to defend me. Instead, they laughed too. Mom actually laughed and said, Emma, I totally get where you're coming from. We're all getting tired of Luna's little handouts anyway. She acts like she's doing us this huge favor, but she doesn't understand that we need real money, not just the scraps she throws our way. Exactly, Dad said. She makes all this money at her fancy job, but still acts like giving us a few hundred here and there is some big sacrifice. And honestly, Mom continued, she's going to be completely out of place at tomorrow's party. You know how she gets around people. She'll just sit there with that sour look on her face and ruin everyone's good time. The Johnsons are coming and the Millers and all your aunts and uncles. They want to have fun, not deal with Luna's antisocial attitude. She's always been weird, Emma said. Even when we were kids, she never fit in with the family. Remember how she used to hide in her room during parties? And now she thinks she can just show up and play happy family for one day. It's pathetic, Dad said. I stood there in the hallway, holding those stupid gift bags, listening to my family trash me like I was their worst enemy instead of someone who'd been helping them financially for years. They had no idea I was there, no idea I'd driven 6 hours through a blizzard to bring them exactly what they asked for, no idea I'd been excited to see them, to spend time with them, to be part of the family for once. My hands were shaking. I carefully set down the gift bags on the floor, making sure they didn't make any noise. Then I turned around and walked back to the front door. I opened it as quietly as I'd closed it and stepped back out into the snow. The cold air hit my face, but I barely felt it. I was numb. I got in my car and just sat there for a minute, staring at their house. The warm yellow light coming from the living room windows, the Christmas wreath on the front door, it all looked so normal and cozy from the outside. But inside, my family had just told each other they wished I was dead. I started the car and drove away slowly. I didn't want to spin out in their driveway and give the neighbors something to talk about. As I drove down their street, I wasn't crying. I thought I would be, but I wasn't. I was just thinking really clearly for the first time in a long time. I needed to go home. That was it, just go home and figure out what to do next. I turned around and started the long drive back. This time, I was driving even more carefully than before, not because of the weather, but because I was so angry I could barely think straight. My whole body felt like it was buzzing with rage and hurt and confusion. About 30 minutes into the drive, my phone started ringing, then it kept ringing. I could see it was Mom calling, then Dad, then Emma over and over. They must have found the gifts. They probably realized I'd been there and left without saying anything. Now they were panicking, but I didn't answer. What was I supposed to say? Hey, thanks for hoping I'd die in a car crash. Sorry I ruined your evening by existing? I stopped at 2 different roadside cafes on the way home, not because I was hungry, but because I needed to sit somewhere quiet and drink coffee and try to process what had just happened. At the second cafe, I finally looked at my phone. 17 missed calls. Text messages, too. Mom, Luna, we found the gifts. Why did you leave? We don't understand what happened. Dad, your mother said you were here. Call us back. Emma, Luna, are you okay? Why didn't you stay? Did something happen? I stared at those messages. They were acting like they had no idea why I'd left, like they hadn't just spent 20 minutes talking about how much they couldn't stand me and how they hoped I'd die. Sitting there at that little cafe table, I started remembering everything I'd actually done for my family over the years, not just the Christmas gifts or birthday presents, the real stuff. Every month for the past 4 years, I'd been transferring $1,500 to Mom's account to help with their mortgage payments. $1, $500 every single month. That's $18,000 a year, $72,000 total so far. And Emma, I'd been sending her $1,000 every month for her apartment rent because she could never hold down a job long enough to pay it herself, and Mom and Dad couldn't afford to help her and pay their own bills. So that's $2,500 a month, $30,000 a year that I'd been sending to my family for years. While they sat around talking about what a burden I was and how my handouts weren't enough for them, they'd been taking my money, cashing my checks, using my credit card numbers for online purchases I'd approved. And the whole time, they couldn't stand me. They were just waiting for me to die so they could get more. I felt sick, actually, physically sick. After a few more hours of driving, I finally made it home. I sat down at my computer and logged into my banking app. Found the automatic transfers I'd set up years ago, Mom's mortgage help, Emma's rent money, both scheduled to go out again in a few days for January. I canceled them. Then I took a screenshot of the cancellation confirmations. Sent the image to Mom, Dad, and Emma in a group text, "Merry Christmas. This is your main gift for me this year." Then I turned off my phone and went to bed. When I woke up on December 24th, Christmas Eve, I turned my phone back on. 80 missed calls, 80 from all 3 of them. The text messages were insane. Luna, what did you do? Why would you cancel the payments? We don't understand why you're doing this to us. I sent one message to Mom. I heard you talking yesterday about how you hoped I would die in a car accident. You said you were tired of my money and that I ruin everything. So now you don't have to deal with me or my money ever again. I don't consider you my family anymore. Don't contact me. Then I blocked all their phone numbers, blocked them on Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, everywhere. Every social media platform, every messaging app, everything. I spent Christmas alone. Ordered Chinese food from the restaurant down the street. Watched movies. It was quiet and peaceful, and for the first time in years, I didn't have to worry about disappointing anyone or not being good enough for my own family. My phone stayed silent for the rest of Christmas Day. I have to admit, it felt weird at first. Usually, there would be at least a few calls from relatives or family friends wishing me happy holidays, but I blocked everyone from my parents' side, so it was just quiet. I actually liked it. No fake conversations, no pretending everything was fine, no awkward small talk about my job or my love life. Just me, some good takeout food, and a Netflix marathon. The next few days were strange but good. I went back to work after the holiday break, and nobody bothered me. No missed calls, no urgent texts, no family drama bleeding into my professional life. It was amazing how much more focused I felt. But then, right before New Year's, I heard knocking at my door, not just regular knocking, but that persistent, desperate kind of knocking that doesn't stop. I looked through the peephole, and there they were, Mom, Dad, and Emma. They'd driven 2 states to show up at my apartment. I opened the door and just stood there looking at them. Mom's eyes were all red and puffy. She'd been crying, probably for a while. Luna, honey, you misunderstood what you heard. We were just joking around. You know how families joke with each other. Joking? I said. You were joking about hoping I'd die in a car crash? Emma started crying too. Luna, I didn't mean it. It was just a really bad joke. I was stressed about money, and I said something stupid. Dad cleared his throat. Your sister feels terrible about what she said. We all do. But you have to understand, we never meant any of it. I looked at the 3 of them standing in my hallway, and I felt nothing, no anger, no sadness, no guilt, just emptiness. You wanted me dead, I said. You took my money for years and complained it wasn't enough. You said I ruined family gatherings just by existing. And now you want me to believe you were joking? Luna, please, Mom said. We're family. Families fight and say things they don't mean, but we always work it out. No, I said. We don't. I don't want to work this out. I don't want to pretend this never happened. I heard what you really think about me. They all started talking at once, trying to explain and apologize and make excuses. But I'd heard enough. I want you to leave, I said. Mom wiped her eyes. Luna, it's going to be really hard for us without your help. The mortgage payments, Emma's rent. That's not my problem anymore, I said. I started closing the door, but Mom put her hand against it. Please don't do this, she said. It's already done, I said, and I shut the door. I heard them talking in the hallway for a few more minutes, but eventually, they left. About a month after they showed up at my door, I started getting calls from unknown numbers. I ignored them for days, but they kept calling. Finally, I answered one. Luna, this is your Aunt Carol. I'm calling from my friend's phone because I know you blocked everyone. Your parents are having serious problems with their mortgage, she said. Your father had to take on extra shifts at work, and Emma had to move back in with them to help pay the bills. They really need your help. Aunt Carol, did they tell you why I stopped helping them? They said you had some kind of fight, but families fight all the time. You need to stop being so stubborn and help them out. So, I told her. I told her exactly what I'd heard that day, about Emma hoping I'd die, about my parents laughing and agreeing, about them complaining that my money wasn't enough. The line stayed silent for a while. Then Aunt Carol said, I had no idea. Luna, I'm so sorry. I thought it was just some silly fight over Christmas. Well, now you know, I said. I won't bring it up again, she told me. You're completely right to keep your distance. Then she hung up. A few months went by. I got promoted at work with a good raise. I signed up for pottery classes on weekends. I joined a hiking group and made a few new friends. I even went on a few dates with a guy from my photography class. My life got better in ways I didn't expect. Without the stress of my family's money problems and emotional chaos, I had more time and energy for myself. I still think about them sometimes, wonder how they're doing, if they fixed their money issues, if Emma pulled herself together. But I don't feel bad anymore. That day, they showed me who they really were. All the years I spent helping, giving, and trying to be a good daughter and sister didn't matter. To them, I was just a walking bank account. Now I'm done with that. I don't owe them anything, and I don't have to fake being part of a family that never really accepted me.